You're welcome back. You are listening or even watching the Business Enterprise Show here on Ireland's only live web TV business programme. And my guest is still the lovely Yasmin from Cavan Living. Now, we were talking in the first half of the programme about your hard copy. Did I get the term right?
You did,
yes,
indeed.
I did. The hard copy. But a couple of years ago, you moved it to a digital format.
Yeah.
First of all, why? And secondly, what were the extra problems that in itself created? You had a nice business model and you knew exactly what you were doing. Then you basically started from scratch again.
Yeah. I suppose a lot of things have happened in the economy over the past few years.
Tell me, what are those?
We certainly won't mention the R word, but anyway, there's a lot that's happened.
The Riviera, where
there
most
we go.
of these wonderful developers that we have are spending their summers.
There we go. I thought we weren't going to mention it. But in tandem with that, there was consumer habits were changing. And I felt, again, trusting my gut instinct again, I could see that things were changing. The fact that people were accessing the internet more just to find out general stuff. You know, people say, well, let's Google it, you know, rather than before you'd ask a friend or you might go up to the library or something. All of a sudden people were Googling if they wanted to find something out. Facebook, Twitter, social media started to take off. And I realised it wasn't just something for teenagers. You know, it was something that people were using to interact with their friends. They were making connections, and just average, regular people were starting to use the internet more frequently.
I know people were starting to use it, but from a commercial point of view, everybody's looking at the internet. But actually, to be able to sell ads on it, that must have been the tricky part. Because again, even if Cavan Living, the lifestyle magazine, was a new concept,
yeah,
people understood what a magazine was.
Yes.
And this is a magazine that's based in Cavan. Yeah, I can get my head around that. But you were going to people who said, you know the internet? Yeah, well, would you like to put an ad on that?
Yeah.
And surely that must have caused particular difficulty. I say it took more than a day with a reporter stroke sales rep in Liverpool to kind of be able to push that on potential customers.
Certainly, I think that's true. And I think even large publishing companies are finding it difficult. They don't know quite how to pitch their advertising. People have got used to accessing the internet for free. So there has to be ways in which you have to support that through advertising or revenue streams. I suppose in many ways, because I had developed a good business reputation here in Cavan, that really stood me in good stead. So that when I did go to people for advertising, they knew that they weren't just investing in a website.
They were invested in you.
They knew that this. I'd always
in the same way we invested in Enda, and the country has turned around.
For me, I think it's a mixture of both, to be honest. Looking at Facebook and Facebook statistics, I can see that the people that follow me are between the 18 and 55 age bracket, but the majority...
I squeeze it!
But the majority are 25 to 45, so it's a slightly older profile than you would expect from using social media. But that's the majority of my readers, but they do span across that age profile. So for me, I think some have come from the hard copy magazine and others are new readers, from what I can gather.
And how do you get your statistics?
Well, that's the fantastic thing about digital media, is that everything is recorded. So from the website, you get Google Analytics data, which can show you daily how many people are looking at articles, what articles they're looking at, how long they stay on the website, and via Facebook you get an idea of where people are based and what their age profile are, and
so
how they're accessing
have people registered with you and have given you their age profile? And
no, the age profile is via Facebook, because obviously when people register with Facebook, they put in their date of birth, and so I can then see from my insights onto my page the age of people and where they're based.
And when you were putting out a hard copy magazine, you printed it the last week of the month,
yes,
and away it went.
Yes.
Is the website, is that constantly being updated?
Yeah, it's a completely different way of working, so that's something that I've also had to become accustomed to, that the internet, by its very nature, has to be immediate. It has to be regularly updated. And so as a result, the articles are updated every day. So there's something new on the website every single day.
And you manage the website updating yourself, or again have you one of your minions?
No, I'm a one-woman show, so yes, I do all that myself. So again, I've learnt new skills in order to facilitate the new business. Yeah.
Now you mentioned you got some assistance there from the Cavan Enterprise Board, but you're heavily involved in some of the other business groups in the area, Women's in Business Network.
Yeah.
BNI, are you in that, or are you just
no, I'm not a member.
On the wings of BNI.
On the wings. No, I'm not a member of BNI, but I am a member.
Women in Business Network.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
It's a new organisation that was set up only a month ago in Cavan. It's the Cavan Women's Business Club. So the County Enterprise Board have set it up, and they've employed somebody to actually run it. So
and what does it do? You don't sit around and...
Well, I suppose they've recognised the fact that women usually are juggling several things at the one time in addition to their business.
Funny you should use the word juggling. I was at a meeting there today, and somebody stood up and said, look, if it doesn't work out, when the business falls, we're going to just pack it up and get a job in a circus. Because we've been so used to juggling so many balls for the past couple of years. We'll be getting a great juggler in the circus. And then I've only been one of the members of Women in Business, and perhaps that's your new slogan or something. But when I heard it say, I thought it was funny. And then for you to mention women are jugglers, you know. So are we now going to get the statistics that women are better businessmen than men?
Well, I don't think so. I think you're a good business person, or you're entrepreneurial by spirit, and it doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. The fact that they've decided to set up a group that supports women in business, I think it's a great idea. We're going to meet once a month, but they're going to have a break for the summer, so I think there's about 6 meetings scheduled for this year.
Set up last month, was it? Break up for the summer already? Yeah, this is real business meetings, all right. What was the first item on the agenda?
When are we going to have our holidays?
Exactly. So great. So there's this Women in Business Club, but what is the objective of the Cavan Women's in Business Club?
The objectives really are to encourage networking and linkages between different businesses so that people can start working with each other and doing business together. But it's also, each meeting is going to have an aspect of training. So they will have a keynote speaker who will deliver a talk on a different subject at each session, which will inspire but also provide some aspect of training as well.
What type of training? Could you ask for specific training, or will the organisation say, well, we feel we need training in X? Or as members, can you say, could we have a speaker who might, as we talked about it earlier, teach us how to do Facebook? Because if you use Facebook, and if you're very good at Facebook, you think Facebook is the greatest thing since sliced pan. Most people that I come across in business, men and women, say Facebook, their kids are on that morning, noon and night. I don't know how I could use it for my business, A. B, I don't know where I'd get the time to put into it.
Yeah.
So can your members suggest to the board or the organising committee, whatever it is, to say, can we have training in whatever, or will it come from the top down?
From what I can gather, they want it to be a very organic organisation where people contribute and feel that it's something that's beneficial to them. So from what I can gather from the last meeting, that's certainly on the agenda, that people can bring ideas forward. But funny that you should mention social media, because that's a topic that a lot of people mentioned that they would like more information and more guidance on how to use.
And you have your committee role in it?
Not as yet.
Not as yet. It's only a matter of time before you take it over. Before they change the name to the Yasmin Club. Now, women in business, do they look at business differently to men? Do they deal with business deal with men?
Do
different businesses suit women more so than men?
I don't think
That's
necessarily.
about 6 questions.
Yes, it
And you
is.
didn't get a chance to answer any of them.
I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think we all have strengths, whether
Yeah.
we're men or women, and interests and passions at different aspects of life. So as a result, I think both men and women can develop businesses in any aspect, or any service or industry. I don't think that is restrictive on your sex. I do think generally, although things are changing, that women tend to be the homemaker and take over the homemaker role as well as have a business, or majority of the homemaker roles as well.
You know,
as
I'd
having
never
a
get
business.
away with saying that on
You-
live
you-
TV.
you-
You could.
I don't. I know. I mean, I'm trying to choose my words carefully as well, but I think that generally tends to be the case.
Not always, though.
That's not always the case, and I do think things are changing. I do think some men have chosen to become house husbands, if that's the correct term, and that's starting to become more common. But at the moment, that generally tends to be the case. So women are looking for businesses which they can fit around their family commitments. But again, that's not necessarily the case. There's lots of career women, business women that don't have any family commitments whatsoever, and so they have different goals. So I think women no more than men yes, they want to earn a living from their business, but it depends what other factors they want to take into account. So what sort of work-life balance they want to achieve. So if they want to juggle home life, work life, children with a business, they'll have different objectives. Whereas if that isn't an issue for them because they have a house husband, they don't have kids, they're not interested in having a family.
Or a sugar daddy.
Or a sugar daddy, there we go. Then,
Let's cover all
let's
options.
call all options. Then they will have different aspirations. I mean, what I found rather frustrating when they talk about women in business, they're constantly talking about this glass ceiling. And they're saying, oh, why haven't women gone through the glass ceiling? But really, maybe for women, that isn't such a big deal. Or maybe for a lot of women, it isn't such a big deal. You know, I'll be getting myself into lots of hot water here, no doubt.
Well, I always say, if you're going to get yourself into hot water, do it on live TV.
Well, but we keep on judging each other, and women judging each other in their achievements and their achievements in business by male standards. And really,
Well, if you want equality, should you not be just judging yourself by the standards?
Yeah.
By standards, as opposed to the standards that fits everybody, rather than kind of having your own set of standards. I'm so glad you're saying all this stuff, and
Well,
I'm disagreeing with a guest.
That's absolutely fine. But I think we do need to have more discussions about this, because if is a sign of success to be a CEO of a corporate company. And this is what they keep on saying. They keep on saying, oh, well, there's not many women who are, CEOs of international corporate companies. So that means women aren't being successful. But, is that the only way that you can be judged as being successful as a businesswoman or a businessman for that by the same token? So really, I think it means we should be asking each other, well, what is successful? What is success?
And I suppose what is successful now compared to what was successful 5 years ago?
Yeah.
Again, something that came up a lot at today's session was the new thriving is surviving.
Yeah, quite.
One of the things everybody had to do today was everybody had to stand up and state their achievements. And achievement, everybody said, was my achievement in business is that I am still here.
Yes.
Whereas 5 years ago, your achievement would have been, well, how many apartments have I got in Bulgaria? Do I go to the Galway races? If I do, am I in Bertie's tent? And B, did I come on helicopter?
Yeah.
So, the levels of success changes,
Yeah.
I suppose, with the economic climate. When we hear of somebody going bankrupt who was, we use the term bankrupt loosely, because my idea of bankrupt is not having any money, but apparently that doesn't mean that anymore. But you hear of somebody high profile gone bankrupt, and I often say, well, I have more money than him, and yet they were the success symbol
Yes.
5 years ago. So our concept of success, I suppose, has been brought back down to reality.
Yeah.
And success, I suppose, is being happy in what you're doing. There's the old slogan that I only rediscovered recently, do what you want, do what makes you happy, and you never have to work a day in your life. And if you can do that and make a living out of it, then surely that's successful.
I agree.
That is the end of tonight's programme. I want to thank my guest, Yasmin from Cabin Living. I want to thank Dave Van Stanton, our programme director and producer, executively speaking, for the entire show this week. Charlie's in there on the sound and on the desk. I want to thank you for listening. I've been Colm Colgan. Hopefully we'll talk next week.